storm a brewing. It is raining like a motherfucker outside. I don't even know if you can hear that, but I'll throw it on the Omni mic so you can maybe hear it. Come on, lightning. Wait. Wait. Oh, I have no idea if you heard that, but that was indeed thunder. So, trying to think of good stories revolving in my life that involve a storm of some kind. I've always loved that atmosphere growing up, though. I've always liked rain and thunderstorms. Maybe not when I was like a little kid, because it's really loud and shit. I'm gonna turn this light on now because I look like I'm using some really low quality YouTube filter or something. Um, but maybe when I was like a little kid, I was really afraid of thunder and shit. But I always like that atmosphere because it's like, you're in the house and it's raining outside and it's kind of creepy, it's spooky. You got to stay inside, and I don't know why I like that atmosphere. I just did, right? We used to always get these really bad ice storms around maybe like December or January up here where I live in Pennsylvania. We get them every now and then, but we got them really bad. We had like 3 or 4 winters where we got these ice storms in a row. And if you don't live in a very wet or cool climate, if you live in a part of the world that's just warm all year round, first off, fuck you. Second off, you don't have to deal with things like ice storms. Ice storms are shit because basically everything, you'll go outside and everything will be covered in a thin layer of ice. The blades of grass, I mean, it looks really cool. The blades of grass will be covered in ice so you can walk on the grass and it'll like chip away. All the tree branches, like everything that has any kind of, the sidewalk, the side of your house, everything is just coated in a thin layer of ice, and you gotta be really fucking careful you don't slip and fall, because you'll step on the sidewalk, you'll slip and fall. You try to grab the handrail, that's covered in ice. You try to grab onto the side of the house, that's covered in ice. Everything is covered in ice, and it is shit. And for the first like 3 or 4 years that we had these ice storms, the town where I live had really shitty power lines that did not, like, they weren't like updated. They should have been updated, years back, but they just never were. So every time we got one of these ice storms, the power would have gotten knocked out in our house for days. The worst of it was one year where we had no power for 4 days in a row. 4 days straight, no power. It was shit. And it didn't help much that it was right when Christmas was going on. It was like one of those days was Christmas Day. It was shit. We went and spent most of our time with like my grandparents. We were thinking about just getting a hotel. Luckily the power went back on. But 4 days with no power does not make me envy the fucking pioneers. Yeah. But that's a storm story. Let's see. There was considering we just had Hurricane Matthew pass through the area, not the area, well, I think we got maybe a remnant of the storm where I live, but we did not get the majority of the storm. Let's talk about that. Hurricane Matthew. I got a lot of that when it was going on. Like, Casey texted me, like, Matt, you need to calm down, okay? You just need to chill, bro. Just chill. And I'm like, I'm sorry. All right? Now, I wanted to make a joke about it, but it ruined a lot of lives. And, like, I think, like, I don't know how many people died. Last time I checked, it was like 100 or 200 people died because of Hurricane Matthew. So I don't really want to make a joke about it because it's kind of in bad taste, Oh, herpty-dur, my name is Matthew, and there was Hurricane Matthew. Oh, man, it's crazy. You got me named after a hurricane. It killed, like, hundreds of people. Oh, well, what are you gonna do? Like, I don't want to do that. But, the thing is, living in Pennsylvania, what we normally get is a remnants of the storm. We always get, like, a tropical storm or a tropical something from, whatever the hurricane is left over, the remnants of it. Sometimes not even that. I remember when, I think it was Hurricane Isabel, I think it was. This was back in 2004? Maybe 2003. Yeah, it probably was 2003. I was in 5th grade, And I remember that the Hurricane Isabel was like apparently going to hit us really bad, despite the fact that we were in Pennsylvania, way far north. Apparently, the storm was going to hit us fairly decent sized tropical storm we were going to get. So much so that the school actually canceled classes one of those days. And it was like a state of emergency declared for the state, so we didn't have school. It's like it's the only time we ever had no school because of a hurricane in fucking Pennsylvania. But the funny thing was, the next day, the day we didn't have class, it was sunny out. It was hilarious. It was like awesome. And it's like, well, it's too late now. So it rained for like a little bit in the morning, and then after that, just sunny all day. And I'm like, ha. Hurricane Katrina, I remember that. Didn't really get much shit from Hurricane Katrina, so I can't really talk about it. But that's probably the first time in my life I was really aware of like the damage a natural disaster could cause. Obviously, there were several natural disasters before that when I was growing up. But that was a big one, and that was 2005, so I would have been 12, and that's the first one because it was covered by the most natural disasters that occur. And I'm learning about how you cover. I mean, you cover this stuff in the media, and I'm learning stuff about that. I'm like communications, like journalism and stuff. A lot of times with natural disasters, even if it's really bad and people die, you don't cover them for that long. A day, 2 days. Like, does anybody, there's not many media outlets still talking about Hurricane Matthew, and that was only like 2 weeks ago, maybe like a week and a half ago. It's not top story news anymore. Houses are just still destroyed. People are still dead. There's still people that are suffering horribly from the after effects of it, but it's not front page news anymore. It's like, okay, the hurricane hit. And you'll still see stories about it popping up every now and then, like, oh, the disaster is still here, and there's people still recovering, and there's these people that are still waiting a rescue, and all that crap. But it's not front page news anymore. Hurricane Katrina was different. Hurricane Katrina was front page news for a while, and people talked about it for weeks after it happened. First about the storm itself, then about, oh my God, look at New Orleans, one of the national landmarks in this country, one of the biggest cities, most famous cities in America, completely destroyed. The Superdome is in tatters, the entire area is washed away, all this flooding. And then after that, there was the whole issue with like FEMA and the rescue operations, and shit's not getting done. And then you start hearing really wacky conspiracy theories like George W. Bush done blown up those levees. Yeah, I remember that was a really big one back then. Probably still is on the internet. You could probably still someone finding, talking about that conspiracy theory bullshit. But yeah, those are 3 stories about storms, I guess. Yeah. Oh, one more, really quick, because I know, whatever. It's kind of a long video, but whatever. I was born in 1993, and I remember we got a big blizzard, the blizzard of 93. I think this even has like a Wikipedia article. You could probably just look this up. But the blizzard of 93, and I was born in late April too, so it was like a big thing, It's not, we still, I mean, Pennsylvania is fucking erratic as all hell, It'll be snowing up until May. It'll be, you could start as late as January, go as far as May or June, and maybe not June, but, whatever. It's freaking like the nexus of space-time and weather where I live. But there was this really bad snowstorm, and I remember I was supposed to be born on the 21st, and my dad and my mom were, like, terrified that they wouldn't have been able to get to the doctor's office, like, or to the hospital so I can be delivered. So I remember my dad had to pay. He told me he had to, like, tell his neighbor who had a plow truck. I think he even paid him, like, can you, like, make sure to keep my yard, like everything plowed open in case my wife goes into labor. So I was born amidst all that. So that was pretty crazy. Not like, it would be a more interesting story if it's like they got trapped in their truck on the way to the hospital and I had to be delivered in a snowbank. That would be a lot more interesting of a story. I should have just lied and said that was the story. Okay, Teching 101 was born on the side of the road in a snowbank. and we had to, and my parents had to claw their way out, and my dad lost an arm, and my mom she lost part of her ear because of frostbite, but they rose me to the sky, and as I let out my first cry, the snow dispersed, and the sun came out and shined upon me, and I was blessed with the powers of the sun for all time. Signing out.